popping in the streets, everybody? I believe, therefore I am King Sylar. Hope you guys are doing all right today. Back with another Kill Crump battle review. Been looking forward to these battles dropping for quite some time. Very interested to talk about this particular battle, and I think there is an underlying message here that I want to start with. So let's run it. Yo, welcome back. Ready to get started with this battle review. Before we get started, please make sure that you like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts on it. Am I tripping? Am I right? Am I halfway right? Am I wrong? Or you just want to make full ass motherfuckers that just want to make a comment? I'm with all of it, but by all means, please leave me your thoughts in regards to this battle. Obviously, you can see the title. We got Bullet versus J Crush or Kruilty. Amazing battle. Definitely enjoyed it from start to finish. There's not a lot to say about this particular battle. This battle, in my personal opinion, was pretty clear, cut and dry. But the one thing that I definitely, as I said previously, the underlying message here that I want to put out there directly, and I say this completely unbiasedly, this was the main reason, this was the main battle that I learned my lesson not to trust live streams. And that's not me trying to be mean or be ungrateful, because I was totally grateful that I was able to sit here in this chair on Saturday night and watch those battles live. It gave me something to do. I even watched the, I also watched the conference and stuff like that. You know, the interviews and stuff like that with the battlers the night before. And that was a really dope experience. It made me, the press conference is better call it. But that made me feel like I was really there watching like a whole boxing match that was about to happen tomorrow. So that was really dope. Not trying to say that I want that to go away by any capacity, but I was just like, we cannot go on based off of a live stream. I know it's easier to go by energy and stuff like that. And we could even kind of deduce that from like other battles that may have happened or, you know, that previously happened in the night, things of that nature. But one thing that I definitely looked at this battle, I looked at it and I was just like, yeah, I have to wait till footage comes out in certain capacities. I think it's one thing as far as like if it's on somebody's phone, like if it's like interacting and I'm watching the battles, as far as in terms of like you actually recording, I can see the details. But as far as them live streams are not, they are not trustworthy, bro. Because I'll again, so let's just jump right into it. So let's look at round by round. There's only 2 rounds, so it is what it is. So obviously J Crush starts off. Now here's the thing that threw me off the most, because when I watched this battle on live stream, part of it did cut off for a little bit, or it was kind of like lagging just a tad bit, but the live stream made it look like J Crush got out there and he was just kind of flailing around. There wasn't like really any connection to the music. And I say flailing around, but I mean just like, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but I mean like he was just kind of going from moment to moment without there being any like necessarily substance that are connecting to the music, crowd, or the moments alone. The live stream did not do him justice. It did not do him justice. Because when I watched the footage back, when it just came out, first and foremost, the stage presence was definitely there. The approach, as far as in terms of making sure that the battle is there, as far as interacting to a certain degree, like sending energy towards your opponent. And then his timing and patience as far as this battle was completely there. Completely there. Like, you cannot watch that battle on the live stream and then watch it in the watching the actual Kill Crump page and watch that battle and say those are the same thing. It doesn't do him justice. Now, I admit, obviously, J Crush is not like a flashy individual. You know, as far as like, he's not big, or he's not going to be doing a whole bunch of super crazy moves, like maybe the same way maybe we watch like Crush is gonna hop like 20 feet across the stage or something like that, or watching somebody like Cannon that's gonna do some super acrobatic moves, or, you know, even like people like No Script or things of that nature. Like he's not that flashy type, but he does have a very creative and technical approach to the rounds. So going at round by round, J Crush's approach and his start was amazing. The music was there. It was heavy in bass, and that's probably why we couldn't properly hear it on the live stream. and his material, the texture, and his moves were spot on. One thing that people ask me about, but I definitely learned about patience from him, is that take your time. You will get there at your own pace. There's no need to rush. And people have heard me say this on several occasions, like, hey, if you can't beat me at 2, then there's no point in me trying to go to 5. I'm a firm believer in that. I don't have to max out if you can't beat level 1. And his approach to the round was pretty damn good. It's completely there. Now, as far as for Bullet's rounds, I do personally think that Bullet is going through a style change. Not that it's bad or anything like that, but I do also feel like Bullet's movements are starting to become sharper. Obviously, Ty Dye is one of the creators of Crump, so as far as like being fundamentally sound and educated and proficient, especially when you step on the dance floor, in terms of just being seamless and kind of talking about the continuity, what I did with the last battle with Grizzy and Matrix. That's kind of like he's gonna make sure you have it. Like, that's without a doubt, you're gonna have that. And I'm definitely kind of noticing that. Not to say that he didn't have any creativity, because he did. He had a great approach as far as in terms of the bad Michael Jackson. So what is that like? Is that like 92? Is that 92 Michael Jackson, or is that 85? Or is that 89? One of them times. But, you know, it was a very street kind of caddy kind of approach. So, and it worked very proficiently, very proficiently. The one thing that I would definitely say, as far as in terms of, I would say that he definitely did better in terms of as far as like with J Crush, is that he definitely hit the turbo button quicker. Like, obviously J Crush was like kind of like a slow roasting, if you've ever heard me say that before, but I feel like Bullet's approach was kind of like, all right, I'm going to establish this and I'm just going to keep going up from there. I'm just going to keep maxing out. And I definitely felt like he did that. I have my kind of back and forth as far as in terms of the battle, as far as that first round, because I look at it and I'm kind of like, all right, everything definitely was there. We saw a lot of layers. As far as for both of these individuals, I definitely feel like the creativity was definitely better. The texture was better as far as with J Crush. But I do feel like as far as like presence and dominance, as far as that battle, I definitely gave it to Bullet. So I'm not mad at either or, as far as in terms of somebody say Bullet won that first round, or if J Crush won that first round, I'm not really mad. I can kind of make a really solid argument for either. You know, I try not to do the whole checklist thing too much, but I think both of these individuals did very well. And then, of course, when we came to the second round, I think J Crush obviously showed that he was going to go up a level. Still went about his technical approach as far as like building up, had his moves. Unfortunately, he messed up on one of the moves and dropped the hat. Just kind of pulled it out, tried to grab it, and it hit the ground. And then he tried to get off from there. Unfortunately, looked like it was more of a stamina thing. Just kind of got burnt out after that. And after that, Bullet second round kind of came in there with the same dominant approach as far as like, you know, who's bad, being very catty and kind of like brash towards like J Crush. And he pretty much just maxed out of there. And obviously he took that round. So I'm kind of looking at it as like, you know, hey, some people would say like it's a 2-0. But the one thing is, like, I was kind of in the comment section, or even the previous night before when they were doing the battle, not the predictions, but the press conference and stuff like that, you know, it was that situation of like, you know, people perceiving that because maybe they don't see J Crush enough, they believe that Bullet was just going to pretty much mow over him. And that wasn't the case, or at least I don't personally feel like that was the case, because there were certain levels of Crump within the realm of Crump, because Crump is not just all this and swinging and jabbing. As J Crush said, like, you know, hey, you can swing hard, that's good, but that's not all there is to Crump. We're not about to fold over one side just simply because you can't do it. I do think there was a technical and a creative approach that Bullet did not match. And if we're just being completely transparent, and I've always stood on this ground, on this mountain, and I'm down this mountain, without every shadow of a doubt, J Crush is definitely one of the top 5 best creative crumpers of all time, without bar none. We can, and I say that as far as in terms of not just simply taking the hat off and doing it, but making sure that it's on beat, making sure there's continuity to it, make sure that it's there as far as in terms of it actually making sense, and then actually a high level of execution as a whole. So in my opinion, as far as looking at that, you know, again, as I said, J Crush took it in that realm. But as far as in terms of overall stage presence, dominance, as far as like making your round, maybe kind of like taking a different approach, as far as like, again, how we said with the previous battle, it's almost kind of in a way, I feel like both of these individuals switched. It's kind of like, you know, when we look at this situation, they make sure nothing burning. Looking at this situation, it's kind of like we saw with the last battle with Matrix and Grizzy. This time around, the much more direct and maybe a little bit more brash and live dancer took the win versus the last time with the Matrix and with Matrix and Grizzy, the creative individual one, the one that was much more performative, got on the stage, had a lot more creativity, pizzazz, flair, whatever you want to call it. He took it, you know, because he performed, utilized the stage well. Versus in this one with Bullet and J Crush, I felt like both had stage presence, but I feel like not necessarily in like a linear way, but like I feel like Bullet definitely had a lot more get off. I felt like he had a lot more stage presence, liveness, and a lot more as far as like battle. As far as, because they were even some moves that we was kind of doing the crush sign and kind of did some disses and stuff like that. So you can say it's just a much more linear, direct approach to Crump versus, as I said before, outclassing someone with as far as like your precision and technical application, things of that nature. So in which we saw with J Crush. So good battle overall. I definitely enjoyed it. Like I said before, that's the one thing that stood out for me is that watching the live stream does not compare to seeing it in on footage, because again, the layers and textures, the angles in which J Crush was working with was definitely on point. The hat move to the level changes, like even as far as like the crazy arm play, I can't even reach all the way around there and did that, and then started getting off. It was just kind of like the buck ups, like those things, like they cannot be appreciated. So overall, great battle. Definitely enjoyed it. But this is the point of the video where I turn the conversation over to you guys. Definitely want to know what your thoughts are. What you think? Was it a 2-0? Was it a 1-1? You know, like I said, I'm not going to entertain if people say like, oh, you know, J Crush just got dog walked. It's like, you know, and I don't know who that was, but if y'all get a chance to go look at that comment section on the battle, some random dude was basically saying that, you know, obviously he was saying that J Crush lost, and he was saying that Impact lost, and he kind of went into this tangent about like all the people on that side are Impact, and I'm like, them niggas are not Impact, fool. Like Impact was like almost over 10 years ago, and he's like, no, Miho was Impact. I'm like, nah, that's a Crush and Solo thing, and Ruin and Outrage. And for a time I was like there are a lot more people that were in Impact than maybe you remember, and I think he's just simply just trying to brand them Impact because it's kind of like that's in a sense Miho side of it, and I'm just like, just straight ignorance. But regardless of the situation at hand, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.